each unit, and now the market can adjust to that. So I think that's where we're going. I don't see any other way out of it. But it's not like governments are going to go their way. They're just going to eventually be forced there. But what I do think will happen is that individuals will adopt gold on their own. That's what I think is going to happen with gold tokens. That's why I'm going to do my own. That's why, I'm working on something right now. I'll be talking about it very soon. I don't want to just mention it now because I don't want to get overwhelmed with orders. But I am working on my own system where my followers will be able to have accounts in gold and transact in gold as a medium of exchange, and ultimately, either redeem it in physical or redeem it in tokens and trade it on exchanges or exchange it. So, I think that the private sector will enable people to go on a gold standard, whether the government goes there or not.
It's October 13th, 2025. Gold's at 4,100 an ounce. We're listening to the Peter Schiff podcast.
You can use legitimate currency. Using gold and silver coins, yes, that's a pain in the ass. But using gold and silver electronically, if I can create a platform where it's just as easy to spend and earn gold and silver as it is dollars or euros or yen, where it's all the same transaction that can happen across borders and can happen, overnight, or not overnight, instantaneously.
Gold's at 4,100 an ounce.
Gold and silver are available as an alternative to dollars. People will choose it, especially people who are earning dollars, right? I can understand why somebody who has gold doesn't want to spend it, but I can see why somebody who has goods and services to sell wants to receive it. And so ultimately, I think a gold-based monetary system will be driven by the people who want to be paid in gold, not the people who want to pay for things in gold.
Peter, would you say that we're actually already kind of seeing that with what the Chinese have set up in the UAE and the deal that they've made with Saudi Arabia for receiving different shipments such as oil and other petroleum products for their RMB at a set gold price?
I missed that. What did you say?
Would you say that what you were just talking about is actually already happening with the different gold vaults that China has set up across the world, so that, for example, when they take oil in from the UAE or from Saudi Arabia, they're exchanging the barrels of oil for RMB at a specific gold price, so that they can then go and exchange the RMBs that they're paid for gold at this price?
Yeah, I think that, and Russia announced that a long time ago, too. They were doing something like that.
Oh, man, that thing's bending.
But at some point, it's going to be more overt, where I think eventually oil is going to be priced in gold. Now, maybe Trump is delaying that in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East by, getting that part of the world, more in bed with the U.S., because Trump probably understands that Saudi Arabia needs to keep pricing its oil in dollars. But I think the biggest consumers of oil in countries like in China, they're not going to be dealing in dollars. They're moving away from the dollar. Russia's moving away. I think India is going to be moving away. So that's where and they're not going to be trading with each other in dollars. We benefit.
This is the Peter Schiff podcast. It's October 13th, 25. Gold's at 4,100 an ounce.
And then, Peter, one last question. I know that there was some chatter over the weekend. I think it started on Friday with when the U.S. became aware of the letters that the Chinese were sending out to different countries. I believe a country shared some of those letters with President Trump. But I think that it's now becoming a bit more evident that, there is a little bit more hostility there than what people may think.
It's October 13th, 2025. Gold's at 4,100 an ounce.
Into what some would say is attack mode. Do you see any risk to the United States stock market, since the Chinese do hold about $5 trillion of U.S. equities, and it doesn't really seem that a hostile nation would want to keep holding those assets. Do you see a
look, there's a huge risk. I pointed this out, and I'm gonna hop here. I've been out doing this for 3 hours, so I'm gonna make this the last point. But yeah, I've been warning about this for years, that especially under Biden, when he sanctioned the Soviet Union, how dangerous this was to create this precedent, to send this kind of warning to our creditors that, hey, we can fuck you over whenever we want, because people don't want to get screwed over. And if you don't want to get screwed over, then don't hold dollars. But we need them holding dollars.
Oh man, that thing's bending.
Because if not, who's going to do it? Americans don't have the savings. And we need them to take our dollars so we can buy all the products, because we don't have the factories to build them. And so I knew this was a very dangerous course that both Biden put us on, and then Trump continued on the same path. And that's why the people that don't understand the phony nature of our bubble economy, they don't realize that the bubble's been pricked, because they don't know it's a bubble in the first place. Just like they didn't know that the subprime was the pin that pricked the credit bubble, they don't realize that gold is the pin that's pricking the whole U.S. economic bubble. And it's happening as we're talking now. By the way, so gold's now up another $16 on the night session. So we're trading in new record high territory, about 4,126. Silver is up another 15 cents. So here, we're closing in on 52.50. Look, this is talking about, Nero fiddling while Rome burns. I mean, people are going to look back. How could you have missed these signs? Meanwhile, too many people are, preoccupied focusing on Bitcoin, and they're missing the forest for the trees here. What's going on with gold, right? And so to end this spaces, if you take nothing from this, you got to do something to protect yourself, right? I'm not talking just to talk, and I want to educate people, but I want to protect people. I want, particularly Americans. I mean,
Peter Schiff, gold's at 4,100. It's October
I
13th,
have a
25.
vested interest in as many Americans as possible not going broke, and a lot of Americans are going to go broke when the dollar crashes. And so you got to get into the gold and silver. I want, particularly Americans. You got to do it now. You can go to Shift Gold and just place an order. If you can't figure it out, I got representatives. You can call the toll-free number. But if not, just load up your shopping cart. You see the basic coins, buy them, and check out, right? Get yourself some gold and silver. If you have a brokerage account, get into the mining stocks. I love my fund. I think Adrian Day is the best advisor. That's why I hired him. I think we're going to crush it. You can go to my website at europac.com. You can get a prospectus. You can read about it. Gold stock investing is different than buying gold and silver. I look at gold and silver as savings, as money. Mining stocks are risky investments. They're companies. Things can go wrong. Things do go wrong. But I think the upside potential is so great that it's an asymmetric bet. I think you can make a ton of money if I'm right. Yes, you could lose. Let's say the company goes bankrupt and you lose everything. You diversify. I think the chances of my mutual fund going to zero are.
Oh, no way. We just opened a whole.
Go to zero, but not all of them, right? But even if you accept that you could buy my gold fund and it could go down 80%, let's say. That's a lot. But if you put $100,000 in and it goes down 80%, okay, you lose 80 grand. But it can go up 10x. So you put $100,000 in there and you make $1 million. So if I look at it, maybe I got a 50% chance of making $1 million, or I don't know what, and I've got the same chance of losing 80,000. Now, I think the odds of my fund going up 10x are greater than the odds of it going down 80%. Now, I don't know exactly how to quantify it, but obviously, in the middle, you can figure, well, what are the odds of it doubling? What are the odds of it tripling, right? Obviously, the odds of it doubling are greater than the odds of it going up 10x. But I think if you do a probability or weighted return, how much money could I make in gold mining stocks? It's a hell of a lot more than you could lose, right? A hell of a lot more. And so I think it's a great speculative investment. And I think there's a long way to go in this trade. But even if you're not willing to gamble, look, my fund my dividend payer fund is up almost 50% on the year. You can get information on that at Euro Pacific Asset Management website, europac.com. But this is not a gold fund. We have a few gold mining stocks in there, but the majority of the stocks in there are not gold mining stocks. They're very defensive. Yet the year-to-date return is almost 50%. And, the year's not even over. I'm talking about the calendar year. So I think international stock investing is the way to go. I think the U.S. markets are way overpriced, and they're coming down. Whether they come down in nominal terms, it's hard to say. But in real terms, in relative terms, I think people will be much better off with international stocks.
Gold's at 4,100 an ounce. It's October 13, 25. This is the Peter Schiff Report.
Asset Management. So go to our website at europac.com. Don't forget, I'm probably going to do a podcast on Wednesday because on Thursday I'm leaving for Orlando. I'm going to be in the Money Show for Orlando for a couple days. But on Wednesday, so go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to that, Peter Schiff. And my weekly gold podcasts have been gaining in traction ever since I started doing them. We have a website at Schiff Gold has its own YouTube channel. I'm doing these weekly market wraps. Make sure and subscribe to that channel. Follow me on X. If you're listening on these spaces, if you don't now follow me, I just recently hit 1.2 million followers. I need to have a lot more. There's a lot more than 1.2 million people that would benefit from what I'm saying. Doesn't know about me, hasn't read any of my books, doesn't listen to my podcast. Tell them to listen to the spaces. The spaces are all there, right? I've been talking for 3 hours, but people can listen to it tomorrow, the next day. They can go up on X and just listen to the whole thing. You don't have to listen to them live. They're all up there. And people need to understand what's going on. You can go and read my book. My book, The Real Crash, that is now, over 10 years old, is more relevant now than the day I wrote it. Because the real crash is actually about to happen, right? I wrote that book to let people know that the 2008 crash wasn't the one that I was talking about when I wrote Crash Proof. Even though I predicted that crash, that was just what was going to start the clock ticking for the next crash, which I never expected would take this long to happen back then. We've kicked the can down the road a lot longer than I thought, but because we succeeded in kicking the can down the road, we also made the problems that I was concerned about 20 years ago much worse. And so now the ultimate collapse is going to be much bigger, which means the stakes are higher. You'll lose a lot more if you're not protected, but you'll gain a lot more if you are. That's why the strategies, I think, are more important to adopt now than ever before. And again, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, go to Shift Sovereign. Where you are. That's a free newsletter. It's every penny. And we put out 2 or 3 a week. It's a lot of great content. It's important stuff. Tell your friends to subscribe. We got to disseminate this information. And I also mentioned we have a paid product that we have Shift Sovereign Premium that you can look at, and we have strategic assets that you can subscribe to for more investment ideas. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who participated in this spaces, and I will be back doing more of them in the future, so always be on the lookout. And if you follow me on X, you'll always get alerted when I'm doing a spaces. Bye for now.
Okay, this is the end of it. Thanks, everybody. Go to johnforcongress.com.
It was Proposition 783 in California, and it was a black butt plug. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Wow, we have a ton of doctors here. Serendipity. A lot of doctors.
My safe word is pineapple.
That just means you're a swinger if it's upside down.
Does anybody remember that video?
I support university because I have doctors on this app that I've ever met in my life. Maybe because I don't go to the doctor very often. But it's very exciting.
And I'm such a slut for authority.
So you like you like getting beaten with a nightstick?
Listen, let's just answer a question. A lot of my colleagues are on this app. We've been demonized for vaccines, and some of us believe the way you do, and we're just trying to regain our names. That's all.
Whose names of vaccines? Like, is it your mom's name in vaccines, or is it your name?
I think it's the Sackler's name. Oh no, that's OxyContin. It's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name.
So what are you bitching about then?
We've been demonized just because we wanted to inject 6-month-olds with rapidly mutating RNA virus vaccine. I mean, it's not our fault. That seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah, no, I know who they are. I've written them down.
You gotta realize we could lose our medical license for not vaccinating 1-day-old children. You know,
Well, it depends on the protocols per the state. I mean, like
the states
you know,
federal-
glioblastoma, you can do with like eye drops and like a special like light, and find out if there's like a glioblastoma within the child's eye. You can do that at birth, and it costs $3. And like those are the kinds of interventions I love.
Should we up the amount of Mongolian cancer rats in hospitals that can tell who has cancer?
I'm gonna go on mute. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. The rats work. They use them in Africa. Literally put 5 different samples of blood, and they find out who's got not polio.
Okay, I'm going to end this recording. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Go to johnforcongress.com.